Hey team, today's video I wanted to discuss how to break a sub 2:35 marathon. So 2 hours and 35 minutes for the marathon is an extremely tough time. Even in my own career, I only broke 2 hours and 35 minutes 7 times in all the marathons that I ran. My obviously my personal best is 2:19:35. My second fastest is 2:26:42, and then I ran 2:32 several times, 2:33 a few times. So I think going after a sub 2:35 marathon for anybody that's trying to do that, you have to hold 5 minutes and 54 seconds per mile or 3 minutes and 40 seconds per kilometer. So very, very fast time. It's very, very important that you continue to work on your speed, because running this type of time, you have to really work on your speed, but also start focusing on those long runs. If you're new to the channel or if you're a regular viewer of this channel, I always talk about alternating long runs, very paced long runs where you're working more anaerobically in some of your long runs, not the entire time, but portions of your long runs. Examples of what I'm talking about here is, say you were doing a 20-miler preparing for a sub 2:35 marathon. What I would do, at least when I was preparing for my own marathons, is say doing a 20-miler where you're running, you're doing like an easy few miles easy in the early stages of your long run, and every fourth mile drop a very hard 5-minute or a sub 5-minute mile or close to a sub 5-minute mile every fourth mile in that 20-miler. Again, this is not normal. I mean, a lot of times when we think about long runs, we just think about long, consistent, just a relaxed, easy long run, and doing that every single weekend. It's still important to do easy long runs preparing for your marathons, but you don't want to focus on doing easy, relaxed long runs every single weekend. Because again, you're going to build endurance, but you have to teach the body to burn fat at race pace, not just burning fat at doing a long run when you're running easy. It's very easy to run easy for long periods of time, but it's another thing to teach the body to burn fat and conserve what it has much less of, which is carbohydrates, running at faster efforts. So if you're wanting to go 5:54 marathon pace per mile pace in their marathon, or 3:40 per kilometer, you have to be able to improve that lactate tolerance. And you're not going to be able to improve lactate tolerance by running easy, relaxed long runs every single weekend. So this is one of the most important and critical techniques and tactics that I want anybody that's, the athletes that are going for a sub 2:35 marathon to start paying attention to. In the training plans and running courses that I teach on RunDreamAchieve.com, we focus on gradually building the athlete up. We're not running very far and not very fast in the early stages of a 16-week buildup for a marathon. But as the athlete gets stronger and adapts to the hard anaerobic workouts that we do, we start focusing on gradually increasing the duration of the long run, so the distance of the long run, and also as time passes through during that 16-week block of training, the long runs start alternating. So early on, it might just be a 7 to 8 mile long run, nice and easy and relaxed. Later on, it may be an 18 to 24 miler where 14 to 16 miles of that long run is spent at around 88 to 90% of your maximum heart rate. So that is not an easy task. The hardest work I did over the years training for my marathons was the long run, not the easy, relaxed long runs that I would do, but it was the very paced, very focused, specific effort long runs where I was running at near and far below even my goal marathon race pace. Or sometimes I would do just like say a 20-miler where I'd run the first 2 miles easy, and then I'd go 16 miles at 160 beats per minute. So at my fittest, when I was my very fittest training in Colorado Springs, I would be running in the 5:20s to 5:30 mile pace at 6,000 feet elevation at 160 beats per minute. And I would run 16 miles at that effort and then do a 2-mile jog cool down. So 2 miles easy, 16 miles at 160 beats per minute, 2-mile cool down, 20-miler. That's just an example. Other types of things that I would do would be running like 4 miles easy relaxed, 4 miles at marathon goal race pace, then 4 miles easy relaxed, and then closing that 16 miler with 4 miles at half marathon goal race pace. So again, varied pace long runs. To run 2:35 for a marathon, you're gonna, like I said, it's a very, very fast time, as you all know, but it's about how well you can sustain at, you know, that race pace, that 2:35 marathon race pace. 5:54 per mile pace or 3:40 per kilometer pace. And to do that, one, you have to also lengthen out the amount of time you're spending at your tempo effort, at your anaerobic threshold. My recommendation is for you to get to a point where you can hold 2:35 marathon pace for the entire race distance. You have to start lengthening out the amount of time you're spending at your anaerobic threshold. If the longest you've went in the past is, say, like 8 miles for a tempo run, start thinking longer. Start thinking around, 14 to 15 miles in length. Again, the more time you spend at your anaerobic threshold, and that's to give you a good indication of about the type of effort that you need to be thinking about running at your tempo effort. Take your best mile time that you have right now, add 1 minute to it, and that's right around where you need to be focusing at in terms of doing your tempo efforts. You may not be able to, early on when you're not very anaerobically fit, you're not going to be able to do a 10-mile tempo run in the first mile or the first week or first few weeks into a training buildup. It takes time for the body to adapt to these types of hard anaerobic efforts where you're limited on oxygen. And that's the big difference. Aerobic means with oxygen, anaerobic means without oxygen. The biggest tactic that helped me go from 2:43 for the marathon to 2:19 for the marathon was this specific tactic, changing up how you're doing your long runs. For the athletes that are trying to run 2:35 or 2:34:59 or faster for the marathon, you have to start changing up your strategy in how you're doing your long runs. I guarantee you, if you do this and you pay attention to doing the other details that go into a great marathon, like doing 1 VO2 max workout per week, whether that's 6 1-mile repetitions on the track, types of workouts that I implement in my training plans and teach in my running courses, 3 by 2-mile repetitions. So 3 2-mile repetitions on the track with 5 minutes recovery in between each one when you're very fit. For the athletes that are trying to run a sub 2:35 for the marathon, I would aim at trying to do those repeat 2 miles at around 5:10 to 5:15 mile pace. So around 10:20 to 10:30 per 2-mile repetition. Now again, you're not going to be able to run that fast very early. You have to be strategic about how you're setting up your training. And again, that's why investing in yourself, whether with a coach or whether with a consultation call with me, which is another option on RunDreamAchieve.com, where we work face to face. We discuss your goals. We discuss the tactics that you really need to start changing up, and it's a much more personable time with you and I as coach and as athlete. But investing in yourself, whether it's a training plan, a running course, business seminar, listening to other athletes or other coaches that have done what you're trying to do, that is very important because it takes the guesswork out of your preparation. You know exactly what you need to be doing each day of each day of the week, and how you need to be tapering down your training as well. A lot of athletes start dropping their volume and intensity too far out from their main their focused marathon. So the way I focused my training, the training plans on RunDreamAchieve, as well as the running courses, is we focused on dropping the volume significantly, around 50%, 10 days out from the main marathon, and increasing the intensity. So volume significantly drops. We also increase intensity, but the last few days of the race, going into the race, there's not much more you can really do because you've put in all the heavy work. Again, the faster you can get your 5K to half marathon races and working on that speed development, the better in order to run under a 2:35 marathon. Always focus on your speed development. even if, if you're mainly a long distance runner, it doesn't mean you can't work on that fast twitch muscle fiber recruitment. And you do that by doing hill sprints, track sessions, examples, like talk about the VO2 max workouts where you're doing, repeat 800s on the track, or, maybe repeat 2 miles, repeat 1 miles, repeat Ks, where you're stressing the body so hard that you're running so fast you can't clear that lactic acid fast and it's building up. And that's why we absolutely need the rest period in between those intervals. Because again, it's not an art form to run slow. Anybody can run slow for a certain amount of time or for a long period of time. It's an art form to run fast. And so you have to stress the body anaerobically and sufficiently and long enough and be consistent with that on a long enough period of time to run under 2 hours and 35 minutes. So again, you have to sustain 3 minutes and 40 seconds per K or 5 minutes and 54 seconds per kilometer. Some of the types of workouts you need to really be thinking about when you're very fit, preparing for this type of time, is doing repeat miles. And again, this is when you're around, like in a 16-week block of training, like how we set up our training. I get the athletes to a point where you're running those repeat miles anywhere from like 450 to 510, doing repeat 800s anywhere from around 222 when you're very fit, and around 232 to 234 when you're not as fit. So, and other types of examples are doing repeat 200s on the track around 39 seconds per rep, doing anywhere from 12 to 16 reps of those, with more rest when you're not very fit and less rest when you are extremely anaerobically fit, and then lowering that down to around 35 to 36 seconds per repetition for 200s on the track. And again, the intensity increases, the rest between each one of those intervals decreases. So that's the focus. We want to focus on improving the lactate tolerance of the athlete so that you are able to sustain race pace for a longer period of time than your competition. And that's the end goal. In the marathon, you have to pay attention to your hydration. If you want to break 2 hours and 35 minutes, it's not just about the hard anaerobic training you're doing that's going to get you across the finish line with a 2:34:59 or faster on the clock. How are you pacing yourself in the race? Don't go out the first half the first half of your marathon in 1:09 if you're trying to break 2:35. Yes, you could do that, and if you go out that fast, you definitely have some buffer time in that second half. But just be prepared that if you're going to go out at 2:18 marathon race pace, to be in some pain in that second half. Again, it's how you are hydrating yourself in the race, pacing yourself in the race, and staying as relaxed as you can in the race. That's going to dictate how successful you are at getting across the finish line with 2:34:59 or faster on the clock when you finish the race. Again, if you're spending a high enough percentage of your training at, near, or far below 340 K pace or 554 per mile marathon pace in training, you're going to have a much higher success rate at breaking 2 hours and 35 minutes. Do not neglect the importance of mental training. See yourself getting across the finish line with 2:34:59 on the clock, and do that on a daily basis, on a consistent basis. Make at least 10 to 15 minutes a block of time each day, whether you're first getting up in the morning or when you're awake or when you're going to bed at night. See yourself performing at the type of level that you are dreaming about. We always focus on physical training and we neglect what's probably even more important, and that is mental preparation. I cannot stress this enough, how important that was for me to once be a 2:43 marathoner and get to 2:19. That is a massive amount of drop in time. I always visualized myself, I always believed that I could break what was a goal of mine, was to break 2 hours and 22 minutes. Back in 2007, that was a USA Track and Field Olympic Trials B standard time. And so I had to continue to see myself doing it even before it was reality. So the same goes for you. Don't neglect that piece. What you're trying to do, I commend you. I respect the fact that you're interested in this video and you're wanting to go after a sub 2:35 marathon. I know you can do it. I can't promise you how fast it's going to happen. All I can say is it is an extremely fast time, one that, a time that I only achieved a few times in my career. So I understand how tough it is to run under a 2 hour and 35-minute marathon. If you have any other questions or concerns, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that bell and subscribe button if you're new. And if you're not new and you haven't subscribed yet, hit it. So when I make a new video, you'll be notified of it. If you can, give me a like. I'd appreciate it. It helps the channel grow and more viewers to see these videos that I'm making. And I hope this video is helpful for you all in your preparation. Even if you're not going for a 2:35 marathon, maybe you're a 5-hour marathoner, maybe you're a 4-hour marathoner, or maybe you're in the 3s or in the 250s. Wherever you are yet right now in the marathon, continue to visualize yourself getting to that goal time that you're going for, whether it's sub 2:35 or sub 4:55, whatever that time that you have in mind is. So I wish you all the best. Feel free to leave me a comment, and I will reach back out to you, and I will talk to you all in the next video.